Hello and welcome back to episode number 76 of Coffee with Carl. So last episode I got a little unhinged, and look, that's just the way it goes sometimes. When you have strong opinions about things, which I tend to do, you want to share them with everybody. So that's what I did. And a lot of people disagreed with my opinions about loafers. It seemed overwhelmingly that most people were on board with the pajamas, sweatpants argument. And let me just come right out and tell you that I think you should be able to wear whatever you want, no matter what. Okay. I'm just one guy with one opinion. I don't even really think that needs to be said. I don't know anybody who's really that crazy to think that their way is the only way and refuses to regard any other, opinions or whatever. Right. Let me kind of give you an example of what I mean, because this came up in conversation this week. And I thought it was actually kind of applicable to what I was talking about. And it was really about different strokes for different folks, more or less. And I've always found that it's been really helpful to meet a lot of people from different backgrounds, from different places in the world, and just really have a good cross section of experiences to learn from. Because so many times when you get caught in your own bubble, you start to think that that's the way everybody is. And it's just not the case. So here's a good example of what I'm talking about. We were talking about specifically, I'm not really sure how YouTube treats the pew pew, right? Which is just another way of saying, and more or less that somebody in New York City may feel that somebody carrying on them is a bad idea. And I'm sure that you can make arguments for and against that. However, when I went out to Montana, I spent some time with somebody who was an actual cowboy, right? His job was to stay in the cow camp up on the mountain and, basically keep the herd safe from wolves, coyotes, other predators, and stuff like that. And his rifle was literally a tool. It was something that he used to do his job, and he couldn't do his job without. So again, broad, sweeping statements are kind of silly because so many different people live in so many different situations, right? So when it comes to loafers, somebody who lives in a very, very hot climate, or from just a different time in history, right, and a different place in the world, somebody made the comment about the loafers thing is kind of a throwback. That was sort of what you wore, and so again, I have my own opinions, which I've expressed, but I am aware that other people have theirs. And so I hope that most people know that going into it. But man, this is YouTube. This is the internet. People clip things out and they want to paint you with that brush. And you know me, I think at this point, we've been together for 76 episodes, even if you haven't watched every single one, to know that I'm more open-minded than that. But I will say that it does make for entertaining watching, because, sometimes I watch these back and I'm like, whoa, I guess I went at it a little hard there, but whatever. And that also kind of extends to my statement about I don't like anybody who wears loafers. Literally, I have great friends who I disagree with their loafer choice, and I would never be so silly as to throw away a perfectly good friendship based on their footwear. So, again, I think that goes without saying for most people, but you'd be surprised how many people are really happy to pigeonhole you in something that you said off the cuff. Now, that being said, I am not going to hold back on my own opinions, and I'm going to express them here, mostly because they're my own, and I enjoy the back and forth and the kind of discussion that we get to have, right? Because everybody's a little bit different, and it's enlightening to be able to talk to people and see this channel is fascinating in that the views per video are very low, right? I mean, I'm lucky to crack 2,500 views per video, right? Which is low in comparison to my main channel. Though there was a time on my main channel where I would have been over the moon at 2,500 views. I would have been just, celebrating. But anyway, the fascinating thing though is that even though those views are low, the amount of interaction and comments is extremely high. So what that tells me is that I have a small but very engaged audience here. And I don't ever see it as maybe this is wrong, but I don't see it as me on a podium, pontificating to a bunch of people. I see it as a back and forth conversation. And I learn as much from you as maybe you do from me, or not. And so it's very, I'm grateful for that. And I think, again, what that tells me is simply that this is a group that's actually listening and will, be able to have open, honest conversations. I've had to block very few people on this channel. I've had to do it because some people are just trolls and they come at you and they're not looking to do anything but stir stuff up. The thing that really gets me, though, and the reason that somebody will usually get blocked is if they're going after somebody else in the comments. I can kind of take it. I've been doing this for 9 years and I'm pretty immune to, nasty comments and stuff. But if they go after another commenter, somebody in my audience, especially somebody who I've seen and recognized for a long time, Scott Owl, hat tip to you. You've been there for a long time. A lot of people too. I mean, I can name a few. They will definitely get banned because I want to protect it because you guys are here and you're talking to me and it's great. So enough of that. Okay. Cause you be leaving here with a big head. Now that that's out of the way, I want to tell you about a phrase that has become really trendy that I have like a visceral reaction when I hear this phrase now. And it's, I love that for you. Now, I thought that the top spot of being able to tell you to go screw yourself was Southerners saying, bless your heart. But I love that for you might be in the top place now. It is absolutely terrible. I want to kind of break it down real quick. I am no English major. Matter of fact, I didn't really major in much of anything. But I love that for you. There is so much said in those few words that when somebody says that to you, right, well, look at, and I think it's specifically, I've never heard guys say this to each other, but I spend a lot of time with, women in my life who say things like this and saying, I love that for you. Okay, I love that for you, right? Like, I love that for you. That's good for you. Like you are, that's perfect for what you got. It's a slight. I don't know how else to put it. Unless a therapist is saying that to you, that is an absolute FU, right? I just don't, it's the like modern version of bless your heart. That's what it is. I love that for you. No, you don't. No, you don't. And that's something that somebody would say who's like kind of like trying to stab you in the back, right? Oh yeah, no, those loafers with the white socks, I love that for you. Come on, you know what I'm saying? And now, I'm sure that people have said it genuinely, right? You got a promotion at work, I love that for you. But even then, you get that? You feel that? Oh. It's not just the tight collar of this shirt. It's just, I get I don't like it. I don't like it. I love that for you. Let's say it was in total genuine nature, right? Again, using the example of, I got a promotion at work. I love that for you. If I'm telling you I got a promotion, I wasn't really looking for your validation or like your approval. So I love that for you. No. I love that for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, do you see what I'm saying? Am I preaching to the choir here? Like, it's a terrible phrase. It's a terrible thing to say to somebody. I love that for you. Oh, you got a new car? I love that for you. What does that mean? Are you mad that now I'm in debt? Maybe I took a note out on a car at like 16% and I'm going to be in the interest, and in Connecticut you pay property taxes. Like, I love that for you. That's what it seems like. You know what I mean? Oh, did you buy that G-Wagon? Did you buy that? Oh, no, worse. Did you buy that Land Rover? Oh, I love that for you, because you're going to be seeing a lot of repair bills and your car's going to be worth like nothing pretty soon. It's a messed up thing to say to somebody. So I don't think I need to say anything more about it. It's terrible. Am I way off? I don't know. Let me know. All right, and before we get into the new releases, because I got some stuff to say, especially about the Saddleback boots, the other thing that I wanted to mention, I don't even remember how this came up, was, you've seen if you've been doing this for any amount of time, right? You've been paying attention. If you've been alive for any amount of time, let me just put it that way. You've probably seen products and stuff that are just, you don't get it. You go, whoa, that's the most terrible thing. And this week, somebody, I think maybe, I can't remember what we were talking about. Hey, it doesn't really matter. They were asking me, what was the worst thing you've seen, right? Like, what's the worst product, the most cringy thing? And I got to tell you, it took me a minute. I had to sit there and go, there's been a lot of them. But I think the worst thing that I've ever seen is the hex tie. Have you ever seen this thing? All right. I'm definitely going to put up screenshots here. So if you're listening on audio, it might be worth, well, I upload the video thing to Spotify, so you can usually see that too. The hex tie, I got to see if this damn thing is still, hang on, I'm going to look it up. I got to see if this thing is still in business or not. It's horrible. Hang on. Hex tie. Basically what it is, you can still buy them. Oh my God. All right. So the hex tie was basically this gold. It was really a gold thing that was held together with mesh so that it sort of simulated fabric, right? So picture if you took a bunch of coins or something like that and then laid like a screen material on the back, right? You could make like a solid piece. This is and then there's like a little nylon strap that will go under your collar. So it's a necktie, but not really, because you're not tying anything. You simply clip it on. And it makes you look like, I don't know, RoboCop or something, right? So these gold ties, the one that I was looking at here, they have the guy, he's dressed in like an alligator blazer, which, first of all, dude, come on, you know? And but it goes perfectly with his black shirt and this gold-plated tie. They're terrible. When you go down a little bit more, they also make them in black in case you don't really want to go full on. They make bow ties, which I don't know what's up with those. They also sell some belts and other crap like that. And like they've really tried to make something of this hex thing they got going on. But I want to focus on the gold ties because I think that is probably the most gaudy thing. And actually, I think that was the first one that they came out with. You can get these. Looks like there's like a limited edition here for $400. You can get the Emirates Diamond 2.0 for $328. You can get a few different ones here. It looks like they range from, I don't know. They have some bow ties that are about $50 and other things here. They just look, I mean, if there's anything that says try hard, you thought like the infinity knot or whatever. This is like the Dapper community stuff, right? I don't know anybody in the right mind who would ever wear one of these as like seriously, right? I mean, like, I maybe that's what I'll go as for Halloween this year, is like somebody who just falls for all these gimmicks. I'll wear like my MVMT watch, I'll put on one of these hex ties, and then I'll be good to go. But they're terrible. I don't know anybody who ever would wear these. They are the ugliest things I've ever seen, I think. And again, like somebody who just, hey, you came up with something new, you wanted to try to sell it, great. But I'd love to know who's buying this crap, because it is absolutely awful. Oh, please tell me they have sunglasses. No sunglasses, but I'm actually not surprised. Whoa, what in the world is this? The Hex Antwerp for $21,000? What is this? Oh, okay. All right. They are cufflinks, which look like they're, I don't know, they have like diamonds on them or something. You know what? Okay, here's another thing that is, I go to a lot of websites, right? Doing this research for these episodes and again, talking about product and stuff like that. I go to a lot of different websites. And this would be a perfect time to like sneak in like an ExpressVPN sponsor or something like that, but I don't. So anyway, one of the things that I've noticed on like a lot of kind of scummy websites, I don't want to say this because some good companies have this, is the little thing in the bottom that says somebody just purchased blah, 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 right? Somebody from, Chattanooga, Tennessee just purchased this. That is creating like a scarcity, right? Like as if you were in a store and people are buying things all around you and they're like, oh, I gotta buy something, right? It's fake. It's totally fake. And when I see that, it usually will clue me into that might not be a company to trust. But anyway, the hex tie might be the worst thing I've ever seen. But let me know if there's anything worse. Is there anything worse than the hex tie out there? Just let me know in the comments. Okay, so Saddleback did release the boots that I mentioned last week. And it was, in the beginning, I didn't really see a whole lot about them. Then I discovered that Julian is making them. Julian Boots, who used to make the road champ for Mr. Freedom, which is a great looking engineer. I'm not even really sure you can get them anymore, but they were one of the great engineers to have, along with Brian the Bootmaker and Creosote and stuff like that. But these came out, and now we can find out some more stuff about them. Before I dive into individual models, though, I mean, really, they're basically the same, model, but different leathers. I want to get into a little bit of the marketing behind it, because that's one of the things that I think Saddleback does well, but they do to a degree that gets a little cringy. So they talk about these boots, and if they had simply come out and said, you know, we wanted to make a high quality item that would be a great pairing to our bags, and even like really, you know, if you already have an aesthetic and you have something that people expect, then make your boots to match your bags, right? So it's like Nyx, right? Nyx has these high, you know, basically the super durable, overbuilt, kind of like tough as a tank kind of boot, right? And if they're going to have a shirt or a jacket or whatever, right? I expect it to be basically that boot's equivalent in a jacket or whatever product that they're making. Overbuilt, heavy, and kind of look like it goes with the rest of the line, right? So with Saddleback, if they had said, okay, we're going to make boots, the first thing I would think is that they were either going to make some really overbuilt hiking boots, because a big thing with them is like the outdoors and, you know, all that stuff. So like a trail boot, or, I mean, you know, I wouldn't say work boot, but that kind of style that was, you know, maybe using some of their tobacco leather, and probably had some unnecessary D-rings and stuff like that. There was a comment last week that somebody said, I can't wait to see how many like pieces of hardware they have hanging off these boots. So that's a perfect take. But instead they went with a dressed up kind of sleek, let's face it, these look like Thursday boots. They really do. That's what they look like. A typical kind of cap toe service boot, like the Captain, or, you know, I mean, if you want to be really generous, like the White's MP, but I don't really see the desire here. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about their marketing, because I feel that at best it's a little disingenuous. At worst, it's kind of like, it's kind of scammy, you know? So here's the thing, okay? I'm going to read this to you, and you kind of make your own judgment, that we could talk about it a little bit. Okay, the why behind Saddleback boots. 2 reasons. First, regardless of if people buy our shoes or not, though we hope you do, I need to let the world know my pain story and the simple root cause of why most of the shoes of 50 million Americans are the main reason they visit the foot, knee, hip, or back doctors each year, and what it was about the shoes my friend made for me that caused all of my pain to go away. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. This is kind of typical storytelling, and Dave's really good at it. Okay, when you tell a story, right, here's the problem, here's the journey, at the end, problem solved, right? That's a very compelling thing. And matter of fact, it's you know, that hero's journey in one way or another is through most great movies and books and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what he's doing here. He's setting us up, showing us the problem, which is that he had, you know, knee, hip, foot pain or whatever, and they were solved by a pair of boots, which right from this first paragraph, that can happen. If you were always wearing the wrong footwear and it was canting your feet wrong, or let's say you had fallen arches, whatever different like podiatry kind of issues you may have going on, wearing the wrong footwear can definitely affect your life. So that is true. All right, continuing. I strongly believe that it is more impactful to show than to just tell what to look for and what to look out for in a shoe. If I could explain what I learned from the old foot doctors, orthopedic surgeons, and the most influential medical shoe designer of all time in an easy to understand way, then most people will stop buying shoes that are bad for them, even expensive ones. And that will create a demand for shoes that are good for them, even low-cost ones. Holy crap, what a run-on sentence. Settle down with the run-on sentences. Jeez. And secondly, by shining a bright spotlight on what a truly high-quality shoe is in extreme detail, light will also pull the curtain on... What? Hang on a minute. What the hell is he saying here? And secondly, by shining a bright spotlight on what I truly... Oh, boy. All right, let me start over with this. Oh, my God. And secondly, by shining a bright spotlight on what a truly high-quality shoe is in extreme detail, light will also pull the curtain on so many expensive yet low-quality shoes. Anybody else get that sentence? That was a really confusing sentence. That understanding, that understanding, period, will open most people's eyes and reveal why they fall apart or look so dumpy in such a short time, and that will create more of a demand for comfortable shoes that last a lot longer and that you'll actually want to wear for decades. Come nerd out with me. It can change your life. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what he's saying, right? You know, again, it's getting back to well-built shoes for the right application can make a huge difference. Totally true. I don't know if he used talk to text to put that up, but that is somebody's got to do some editing here, please. That's really terrible. All right, what makes Saddleback boots different? There's two big differences. The first will be a head scratcher to most people, like it was to me before I understood the significance. But trust me on this when I say it's huge. What separates our leather boots from 99.99% of all other leather boots in the world is our 1912 first generation Munson Last. That one rare and last great sculptors of our generation adjusted to look so elegant. So he's using the Munson Last. Okay, you can get the Munson Last on any number of shoes. I mean, this is not, 99.99% is kind of ridiculous, right? Nix offers this. I know like Duck Feet offers this. A lot of times they're not called the Munson Last. It's basically just, a shoe that's in the shape of a foot, which makes a lot of sense. The Munson Last. Okay, so he goes into the history of it right here. Yep. Okay, all right. Secondly, our 100-year warranty makes us different. Who does that? It was such an easy decision for 4 excellent reasons. First, because the extreme tightness and strength of every material we chose. Second, a small family-run shop in northern Italy constructs our shoes using many extra time-consuming steps, so they have the tightest of tolerances everywhere. Yeah, listen, I am no English expert, but what? Okay. Third, our shape secures the foot so it doesn't shift around and tear the shoe apart from the inside, yet it gives ample room for the foot to spread when stepping in it. Fourth, last but not least, pattern makers, one word, are a dime a dozen, but a wise and experienced pattern maker who puts the shoe together with durability on the mind is worth their weight in gold. It sounds like this was translated. Every pair is handmade by master shoemakers in a family-run workshop in Italy. Julian boots, I believe. I think unless Julian, collaborated with this and then found the factory, that could be too. I don't really know. I'm not too familiar with the inner workings of Julian. These craftsmen are trained by the man who was trained by his father, who was trained by his father after World War II. They still use old world methods and techniques of building shoes like they used to, but better. No shortcuts, no mass production. We couldn't find shoemakers in North America who can or even know how to do this level of time-consuming old world construction with this level of finish quality. Let me go ahead and tell you something real quick, Dave. You say North America. I'd like to point you to Truman, Viberg, Whites, dare I say, Creosote, Brian the Bootmaker. There are many, many people in North America, right? The continent, not the United States, North America, who can do this level or better. And if you didn't see that, it meant that you really weren't looking, okay? Again, I think that Viberg is probably the one that I'm going to use here because I think their level of finishing, although that, despite us all wanting a great engineer boot back from them, their level of finishing and quality is really the bar, right? Truman is doing a great job too. The Pacific Northwest boots, as much as I like them, usually as far as refinement goes, they're usually focused more on durability. So, you don't have that high stitch per inch kind of stuff that you get from Viberg. But there's places like Frank's that could do basically anything, and they have some of the best stitching, especially in that area. So get the hell out of here. Okay. I don't buy that for a second. That is, again, like I said, disingenuous at best, scammy at worst. Couldn't find them how to do this level of time consuming old world construction with this level of finish quality. I think a lot of people are going to want to have a word with you on that. Are these boots exclusive to Saddleback? Yes, these aren't white labeled, rebadged, or billed on a borrowed or generic last. Okay. Yes, these aren't white labeled, rebadged, or billed on a borrowed or generic last. Yep, it's English. They were designed and engineered by Saddleback through and through with the guidance of one of the most influential shoe designers in the world, all the way down to the brogued cap on the tip of the toe. We also own the design patent on our elegantly sculpted proprietary shoe lasts. Yeah, so again, I think that's sort of tells you right here. They were designed, engineered by Saddleback through and through with the guidance of one of the most influential shoe designers in the world. That's Julian. Okay, so I assume what happened here is Dave and Saddleback Co. went with Julian to figure out how to make this thing, and then found a northern Italian factory to make them. My question is, though, this factory existed. They didn't build this factory, right, up in Italy. So what they did is they simply said, okay, we have this design, and can you make it for us? So they aren't white labeled, but they are being made in the same factory as other shoes, because this is not a Saddleback factory, right? This is a factory that already existed making shoes, as this guy said, for generations. So likely they are making shoes and boots for other customers, which are available for purchase. Now, the Saddleback specifications are a little bit different, using a last that they specify and all that stuff. But I'll tell you this much. I don't care how good your last is. There's nothing that compares to somebody actually measuring your feet and giving you customized solutions. Nope. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise. Somebody who can actually do that, and a real boot maker who makes boots to your feet, because your left and right feet are probably different. And an 8.5E is not going to be the same across, the board. So no matter how good this last is, it's good for that particular foot that last is designed on. Probably Dave's. Fine. Okay, great. But to say that last and this boot is good for everybody is bullshit. It's complete bullshit. All right, so he talks a little bit more about the Munson last, and it's funny because they're talking about the Munson last, yet right up here they say they have a patent on this proprietary last or whatever, and I don't know, whatever. So then they go into the fit and all that stuff, break-in period. I mean, there's a lot to read here. So they do actually offer a C and D width. And it looks like that's their wide. It says, what if I'm a double E? Go up half a size in length and then choose the wide. That'll give you a wide. So that is, a lot of people say that, because it's more volume inside the boot. But now you have a boot that's a little too long. That's not good either. Come on, this is kind of 101 stuff, Okay, so then they go into this stuff, Here's one. What if I have a high arch? Choose wide because the measurement of the width pertains to the overall circumference. Girth, spelled Gerth. There's an I in there. Of the widest part of your foot between your big toe knuckle and little toe knuckle. And then they go in here. This is kind of look. Okay, your arch muscles should strengthen in our shoes. That means your high arch will likely go back to normal, and your foot will lengthen a little. Oh my God, I gotta talk to a podiatrist about these statements, because I would talk about them, but like I don't have a background in this stuff. Your feet do change, right? That happened during COVID when a lot of people weren't wearing shoes anymore. They were at home. They found that their toes spread out, right? But your arch, and a lot of times like this, the structure of your foot, it's gonna kind of remain the same. Like your bones aren't gonna move all that much. Anyway, well, that's something I'm really not. I'll tell you when I'm out of my depth and I'm not educated enough to know about podiatry. Okay. All right. So anyway, they have you measure your Brannock device. Okay. And then here we go. Here's the nitty gritty stuff, right? What kind of leather is used? We use full grain, toughest and most natural. Okay. Vegetable tanned leather that is waterproof because of their proprietary blend of natural fats and oils they impregnate it with for 2 or 3 days at the tannery. It is considered among the very best tanneries in Italy for this kind of leather. It's the strongest, most beautiful leather we could find. This kind of leather is the best for leather pieces that get constant stress. Interesting that he's talking about that when their bags are made out of chrome tanned leather. And he basically completely ignored vegetable tanned leather in his very famous video about why Saddleback bags. I think it's called like Try to Knock Off This Bag. What kind of soles do they have? From heel to toe, these boots have thick and tough full grain leather soles that are tanned the time-consuming way. Wow. They have. I'm sorry I'm struggling to read these things, but it's written pretty poorly. From heel to toe, these boots have thick and tough full grain leather soles that are tanned from the time-consuming way to Italian standards for durability and comfort. They're built with a welted construction, so any shoe repairman can easily replace them. They're called cobblers. The heel has a durable rubber edge on it for traction. This is the same type of sole high quality boots and shoes are almost always made with. Really? Are the boots waterproof? There could not be a shoe. Okay. There could not be a shoe that water would have a tougher time getting into than ours. Russell Moccasin might want to talk to you about that. Limmer might want to talk to you about that. But to say they are technically waterproof, we would need to treat the leather with some sort of synthetic silicone. Okay, so they're pissed. More or less, this is a long paragraph. I'm not going to waste your time reading it. They're saying that they're water resistant. Are they resolable? Yes, and easily. We only use Goodyear welted construction invented by Mr. Goodyear to check. Yeah, okay. Will new styles or colors be released? Yes, we plan to expand the lineup with new styles, leathers, and limited run colors. Subscribe to our newsletter. All right. And then they go into some care. Do they need to polish them? Okay. Now, you've heard all that. Let's take a look at the boots themselves. And I'm sorry that this took so long. They're available in 3 different colors: oxblood, English tan, and what they call pitch black. The boots cost $679 for a Goodyear welted boot from a relatively new company, right? This company has always made bags. And they are, like I mentioned, I mean, I'll call a spade, right? Like, if they were great and really different and interesting, then I would say so. I'd be like, hey, you know what, man, you did a great job here. But like I said before, they more or less look like a service type boot. But for that money, why would you ever do this? I mean, to me, let's remove the whole, like, made in China thing for a moment, okay? For my money, I would rather buy 2 pairs of Grant Stones. And if you don't like Grant Stone because they are made in China, which is, your own opinion, and you're totally, welcome to have that, there are other companies that I could mention which would offer very similar, if not better, options for the money. Okay, Parkhurst, right? Even though they've become more expensive, I mean, geez, it's hard to find a company that doesn't make a great service boot. I mean, if I had to be a little bit, self-promoting here, I would say the 719 from South Africa, their favorite bootmaker, Jim Green, would be like a no-brainer. And of course, you're not going to get some of the things that you have here. They have done some nice things. I mean, with the leather insole and all that stuff. I believe they said steel shank, but look at those construction details, right? Veg tan uppers, leather sole, which I think is an odd choice. For some people it could work out well. Goodyear welting, steel shank, I think I mentioned. A lot of competitors, unless you really need that brogued cap toe, or you really buy into the story that Dave's telling here. I don't buy it. Okay. And then if you look at, there's a top-down photo here of sort of the months and last, which again is supposed to mention, like, go to the curvature of your toes, right? It shows that. And what it sort of looks like is an offset almond shape toe, right? And that's probably good. As long as your toes match that, which not everybody's do. So again, man, I don't know. To be fair, I'm not buying it. You know what I mean? And I mean that literally and figuratively. I am not buying these boots. That's crazy amount of money for that. And I'm not buying the whole story of these boots will cure your foot and hip pain. Now he doesn't really say that. Okay, so maybe I'm just taking a little bit of a leap there, right? He does talk about his problem and how boots helped him, but he doesn't say that they will help you. And I think that's probably intentional, because you could get sued for stuff like that. So that's probably the way it goes. But if you go to the actual product page here, you can see it says here, the rarest, healthiest, and least expensive shoes you'll ever own. Again, right? Bold, intriguing headline. That's all that is. After almost 20 years of knee, foot, and hip and other pain, it all went away after 4 months of wearing these shoes, and so many others share my same story. He can't say that it will do the same for you. You know what I'm saying? He's just telling you an anecdotal thing that, for me, this went away, and other people share the same story. Our shoes are based on the healthiest design ever created, and he talks about the months and last in the military and all that stuff. Again, you can get that at other places, even though it may not be called the months and last. And better yet, don't worry about a last. Go and get yourself a custom pair if you're really that concerned about it, right? There's many companies that do that for you. These could be the least expensive shoes you'll ever own, considering the cost of a single doctor's visit today. The medical stuff is getting under my skin on this, man. So I mean, again, the insinuation here is that if you wear these, you won't have hip, knee, back pain or whatever. Dude, be careful. That's a slippery slope. Just cautioning you. Now, you're watching this. You're smart enough to know that that's not, yeah, the right shoes can help you out. But he's saying that these are the least expensive because they'll prevent doctor's visits. And then at half the price, it would be wholesale to stores. Yeah, okay. This is pure quality. And then it kind of goes on here, right? He does, have a few videos about this stuff. And look, if you're, I don't know. The other thing, okay, it's like, so you have these just came out. They just came out. And we have four reviews beneath that, right? All 5-star, of course. Saddleback boots, 2 months of wear. I mean, maybe this guy Daniel here, because these are all posted on the same day, which was yesterday. Maybe all of these were people who got them before and really wore them, but I'm not too sure about that, right? So this guy goes through a whole thing about how they changed his life. These are the best looking and best feeling boots I've ever worn. They're perfect for every occasion or outfit. Come on. A different feeling, but a great feeling. Changed my life is one of them. They changed my life. After almost 3 years of hip and knee pain, wearing these boots consistently have helped relieve my pain entirely. Beyond impressive. I hate to say this because, again, I am coming at this a little bit biased, right? I don't like what they've done. I think that they're a little bit scummy as a company. But so just trying to remove that entirely. If these had come out and they were affordable and there wasn't all this bullshit about they're going to cure your ailments and all that stuff, and they were reasonably priced, I'd be like, you know what? That's not too bad, right? Let's say these were $400, like $350, $400, right? In that area, right? The Grant Stone range. I would say, if you like them, looks like they have some decent materials here. And I don't know because it's hard to get close to them and you can't really see it here. But just from the outset, it looks like they're halfway decent. So if you like them, go ahead and pick up some. But all of those things combined make me say, yeah, I'm never buying a pair of these. And I wouldn't suggest that you do either. So let's move on. All right, moving on to products that I actually think you'll like. Okay, because I mean, I could talk forever about stuff that I don't like, and then I don't think you should check out just so you could save your own money. But let's talk about something that actually does look good. Bravestar came out with their 13-ounce Savage Green, which is a limited kind of thing, and I love this color. I love that for you. I love this color for you. And it's basically like reacting to a world of blue and black jeans out there, right? Which is kind of the bread and butter of most people's wardrobe. But green, especially a darker green like this, can be a nice, refreshing alternative. And I think these look awesome. Number one, they have a lot of really good texture in there. The star that Bravestar always does is sort of subtle on these. They don't pop out. It's not so contrasty. And being Bravestar, the price isn't all that bad. That's one of the big things with Bravestar is they're always like the gateway drug into raw denim and selvage denim rather. So that's always been the great thing about them. You could also save 10%, I think, if you sign up for their email list. So 10% are off the rip if you want. These are $138. So if you save 10% on that, it probably takes care of shipping unless there is free shipping. I really didn't even look at that. But I got to tell you, I mean, it's been a while since I've purchased anything from Bravestar, but I might get these in their straight cut because they look awesome. And I'm a sucker for green. So I saw these and I immediately was just like, yes, nice weight, nice color. And it looks awesome. So I'm happy to see that these have come out. All right, getting back to boots a little bit. And I mention these specifically because they look a lot like these Saddleback boots, except for they're from a brand that you've actually heard of, Wesco, in collaboration with Ironheart. And this is their 7-inch toe cap Guildsman in natural horsehide, okay? And they're right off the bat, let me tell you right off the bat, these are $1,047. And it's funny because like that 47, what is that, right? Just make them like $1,000 or $1,050, like 47. What's going on there? They're available in 3 colors, the natural, and then like a kind of a darker brown, which is they just call tan, and then black, of course. But they are, again, that great traditional style service boot that we all know and love, except for their Wesco. And there needs to be a why, right, with these things. So when I see a Goodyear welted boot, there are some companies that can do wonderful Goodyear welted stuff. Edward Green, John Lobb, right? But you know, if I see like it's actually stitched down or hand stitched, hand welted, that kind of thing, then you know that adds cost. And here you go, okay, well this is horsehide. Horse is more rare and typically more expensive, so they use horsehide for these, and I think they look really cool. That's a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. But again, like this is what I'm talking about. They will tell you all of these different things. They'll also tell you like where their products came from rather than being very vague about it. And that's like the way Saddleback is. They were just like, it's one of the best tanneries ever, right? Is it Miriam Tannery? Like what tannery is it? And so these, you know, a lot of times they'll actually tell you, because if you're using a well-known tannery, you usually want to tell people what that is so that they know that it's an expensive piece coming from a well-known and reputable tannery. So anyway, I wanted to show you these just because as a counterpoint to the Saddleback ones, albeit more expensive, this is, and you're paying a little bit of upcharge. Let's be fair. You're paying a little bit more for that Ironheart collaboration on there. But for my money, if I was going to spend $700 on the Saddleback, I would save a little bit more and get something from a company that I actually know will be around in a while, regardless of their 1,000-year warranty or, you know, 100-year warranty or whatever it is. I'd spend the money to go with these. But I am biased, as I mentioned, and I admit that outright. I simply don't like Saddleback and what they do, and I think that Ironheart does a better job. All right, Ginew. Ginew was, again, a brand that I have kind of mentioned. I wanted to talk about them for a long time. They have some really cool stuff. Their Thunderbird shirt or jacket is awesome. I had one of their flannels. Actually, I still have the flannel, which I mentioned in my flannel roundup this year. But this is well, I mean, it's a traditional piece, right? So it's a Western snap shirt. It looks awesome. It's in dark indigo chambray, right? So it's a little bit lighter. And so this is 100% dead stock cotton chambray from the USA, 9 ounces. So it's going to be, you know, substantial. Indigo dyed fabric, faux tortoise shell snaps. It's just all those great things. And I love Ginew. They're just a little bit different. They kind of, you know, when you see something from Ginew, you kind of always know it because they have a certain flair to them, like that back yoke, right? That triple point back yoke is really cool. I love their snaps. The snaps that they look like they're the same ones that are on my flannel, and they are super deep. Like these pictures don't do it justice. When you look at them, they have this depth to them that's very, very nice. And it looks like there's some nice single needle work on these as well with the contrast stitching. So really cool. The only thing I would say, be careful of the sizing on these. That flannel was a little tight on me, and I think I got a extra large if I remember. But you know, especially in like the area of the shoulder arm kind of deal, it's one of those deals where like I gotta be careful when I bend my arm because like it'll pop, and because of that I probably won't keep it because why am I gonna hang on to something that I just simply can't wear? But all that to say, be careful of the sizing. I think that if you can fit this though, it's a beautiful shirt. Now, I was going to talk about Benzak because they came out with their pre-summer layering thing here, and they have a couple of like cool products in here with a t-shirt, a shirt, you know, a few other things. But then I saw the model on the cover here who was wearing, basically the whole outfit that they mentioned there with a shirt and that over shirt and then a pair of their jeans, and he's wearing loafers, black loafers with no socks. And so I won't talk about it on principle alone. Now, finally, Huckberry. Okay, Huckberry. I know what you're saying, right? Like, I have gotten this feeling about Huckberry in the last few years as well. And again, I mean, this is probably to my own detriment because they throw a lot of money around. I'm becoming less and less a fan. I think in the beginning, it was the place that I used to go when I would search for gifts for myself, right? Somebody says, hey, what do you want for your birthday or whatever? I'd go to Huckberry and I'd find something cool. The Flint and Tinder line used to be an affordable line of American-made staples, right? And you could buy stuff there that was awesome. Their 10-year hoodie was great. Trying to think of the other products that were really good. Of course, the wax jacket, right? Their wax jacket was kind of like, you know, it was again like Bravestar, like the thing that you would buy if you were just trying to get into wax jackets for the first time. And it appeared in The Last of Us, that series on HBO, and also based on the video game. And just like The Last of Us, it was good in the beginning, and then it just fell off. Huckberry, I don't know what it is. Something's changed over there, and I don't know what it is. Things are more expensive. Their offerings are less exciting. I get turned off by the sort of kind of scummy marketing. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm just totally misreading it, and maybe they'll change, and maybe I'm way off base. Just let me know. I don't know. That's just the way I feel about it. But you can't ignore when they do something that's actually pretty cool. And they do have a new collaboration here with Ford Motor Company. I'm a Ford guy. I mean, I love all vehicles and stuff. Well, cool vehicles, but most of my vehicles were Fords. I have an old Mustang that I'm working on. My F100 is obviously a Ford, so I'm a fan of the brand, and I just love their history and stuff. So not so much their new cars, but their old stuff is just amazing. And so what they have here is some really good looking, not almost, but retro inspired goods. Okay, so they have a shop shirt, a mechanic's jacket, a mechanic's shirt, right, with some chain stitched Ford stuff on it, which looks like it's like a hickory stripe. And then they have some t-shirts, some hats, looks like a belt buckle. Looks like there's also a toolbox, like a Main USA toolbox, which again was probably made by Pioneer Steel, just saying. But the one that I want to talk about is this mechanic jacket. I don't know what it is about jackets and why they tend to capture my imagination more than almost anything except for boots. But something about jackets I think probably because it's like the one thing that you could buy and you're going to have for a long time and you could wear every day. And, a shirt you can't really do that with. So I saw this jacket and of course, first thing I thought was, this is a Detroit jacket. This is the Detroit jacket. Again, I'm not saying that in a bad way. The Detroit jacket is probably my favorite jacket of all time, but this looks like the Detroit jacket. Now it doesn't have some of the stuff, like doesn't have the Detroit cuff, but it's that same 2/ pocket, corduroy collar, even like the red quilted lining, and it's in this like natural kind of white, off-white color with these embroidered Ford logos on it. On the outside, there's nothing that says Huckberry. On the back, it just says, on the back it does. Okay, I'm mistaken. On the back, it just say Huckberry. Then it says Ford Motor Company, Detroit since 1903. Okay, so that is on the back. But on the front, just says Ford, which is kind of chain stitched in there. And I mean, that's really cool looking. And it's $228. I gotta tell you, man, I'm sold. I got one on order already. It says here, crafted from tough cotton canvas, this work jacket features an archival Ford design on the back and a chain stitched logo on the front, a nod to classic mechanics uniforms. Plus, it's equipped with a corduroy collar and quilted interior for extra resiliency when the temperature dips. Triple stitch seams and back shoulder pleats, gussets, ensure it moves with you, while adjustable tabs offer a custom fit. 100% cotton canvas, recycled polyester for the inside there, made in Indonesia. Like I said, I already bought one. I love that style. I think it looks awesome. They did a great job. The price is right. The collab looks cool. The colors look good. So despite me not being a big fan of the brand anymore, at least for right now, they did a good job on this. All right. Holy crap. That was a long episode, I think. I don't ever mean for like the number of the episode to be the amount of minutes that it is. So thanks for sticking with me. We're going to get to the patrons only segment right now. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my trip to Limmer Boots with Michael from the Iron Snail, because that was a great trip. And so I'm going to get to that right now. But for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.